tonight's big stories. The Liberal Party has begun preparations for the 2025 elections with some familiar names like Aquino, Pangilinan, and Diokno being eyed as candidates for the Senate.
Forest fires razed towns in Benguet and Baguio, with residents struggling to breathe through the haze and the smoke.
And Uno Digital Bank locks in more than $32 million to expand in the Philippines, with the goal to bring more of the unbanked into the fold. We'll be speaking to Uno CAO Manish Bhai about this later on.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina.
I'm Gretchen.
And I'm Shawn.
Okay, so it's still more than a year away, but we have confirmation that the Liberal Party is gearing up for next year's midterm elections. LP spokesperson Laila de Lima has confirmed the names of 3 candidates that will be part of the party's initial senatorial slate for 2025. These are former Senators Kiko Pangilinan and Bam Aquino, and human rights lawyer and advocate Chel Diokno. But the bigger question is, what about former Vice President Leni Robredo? Well, De Lima says they're still working on her.
We are still convincing VP Leni to also run under the same slate, and maybe there's a higher or greater chance at success with the VP Leni leading the pack.
Don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm getting a sense of deja vu. But anyways, Pangilinan, Aquino, and Diokno have yet to release their own statements about the matter. Recall as well that Robredo was the standard bearer of the Liberal Party in the 2022 elections, although she officially ran as an independent candidate.
So what does the Liberal Party, or LP, think of their chances of winning this time around? And are they also preparing for the 2028 presidential elections? Gio Robles has the answers to those questions. Go ahead, Gio.
Shawn, you know what? Former Senator Laila de Lima admits winning the 2025 midterm elections will not be easy for the Liberal Party.
Yes, I agree there's a lot more to do. Hard work on the part of the opposition, especially the Liberal Party. But it's just really a byproduct of the demonization and the decimation of our political party. And we just have to be just more aggressive, more dynamic.
De Lima gave as an example the 2022 elections, where she believes the party was underprepared.
You know, we have to start early. The preparations have to start early. That's the complaint last time, but the VP Leni's campaign came a little bit late, and it was late.
Now, should Robredo run in 2025, who will then be the party's frontrunner in the 2028 presidential polls? Here's what the former senator said.
We have not seen an alternative. We don't know the situation in 2025 and also in 2028. Who is that alternative? Maybe it's another strong man, but it should be the different kind of a strong man, more really into transformational type of governance.
When News 5 asked Robredo's former spokesman, attorney Bhai Gutierrez, about the former vice president's prospects, he said Robredo is always open to any possibility with regard to the 2025 midterm elections. Gutierrez also believes that in the right time or tamang panahon, Robredo will arrive at a decision.
She's definitely thinking about it, and definitely yung mga pahayag ng mga alyado tulad ni Senator De Lima, magiging konsiderasyon yan dun sa kanyang magiging desisyon for 2025.
Gutierrez adds that Robredo is currently taking a lot into consideration before even considering a possible run for president in 2028.
Pabigat sa kanya ang duty, di ba? Laging yun naman ang pangunahin niyang konsiderasyon eh. Nung tumakbo siya sa Congress noong 2013, nung tumakbo siyang Vice President noong 2016, nung tumakbo siyang Presidente 2022, laging ang matimbang doon yung nakikita niyang tungkulin niya sa mamamayan, di ba? Doon sa mga prinsipyong kanyang binibitbit at pinaniniwalaan.
We also asked former Senator De Lima if she has plans to return again or to run again in 2025 now that she has been freed from detention after 7 years. But De Lima says she has no plans yet to join the senatorial race as she is still observing the political environment. De Lima adds that for now she is content being the spokesperson of Liberal Party. Shawn, over to you and good evening.
Thank you so much for that, and good evening as well. Gio Robles of News 5.
Well, Reg, if you were getting deja vu feels a while ago, I was getting goosebumps over seeing former Senator Laila de Lima back on the forefront of the Liberal Party and seeing her
leading the charge for
Yeah.
this party.
For this party.
Yeah.
Leading the charge, but also I'm surprised that she actually is not making a bid this time around, because when she was in detention, she actually did try and make a bid. Of course, we know that she did not make it, but I was actually surprised that she's not planning to run
For now.
for now.
She's still observing.
I do remember our conversation with her right after she got out of prison, and she looked so much healthier, so different
that's
now.
right.
Diba?
Yeah. It's
Well,
like she got new life.
Let's get more inside scoop on the happenings inside the Liberal Party tonight with the Secretary General and former Ifugao Governor Teddy Baguilat, who is joining us on the big story tonight. Magandang gabi po sa inyo.
Yeah, magandang gabi rin, Gretchen, Shawn,
Okay, Sir
Regina.
Teddy, ito nga po mga pangalan na nabanggit, Bam Aquino, Kiko Pangilinan, Shell Diokno. Yang tatlo lang po ba ang names sa ngayon? Meron na po ba tayong dadagdag dyan? At kayo po ba ay kasama din dito sa ila-line up under Liberal Party for the upcoming elections next year?
So for now, definitely silang tatlo yung more or less decided to run for 2025. No, it's a possibility that we could have more names, including former Vice President Leni Robredo, even our spokesperson si Laila. For now, gusto lang namin sana kay San Laila is to enjoy free life, freedom, no? And perhaps part of her discernment process is when she goes around, because we want her to tell her story. Her what happened to her, ganyan, yung injustice that happened to her. Sana magkaroon siya ng speaking tour all over the country to talk about freedom, to talk about democratic values, no? And basically her experience when she was incarcerated. So yun muna, and then from there siguro magkakaroon siya ng discernment process. As to Vice President Leni Robredo, yun nga, nabanggit nyo kanina yung deja vu, no? Definitely, if she wants to run for the Senate, she has to decide now. That yun naman ang panawagan namin. Ang mga naririnig namin na political na mga marites is she's more inclined to, if ever she's going to run in 2025, she's more inclined to run in Naga. No? Because yung congressman doon, LP Congressman Gabi Bordado is ending his term. So strategically also for the Liberal Party, we would like to maintain that seat, no, that Naga seat as a liberal seat, no. So I think yun yung naririnig namin. In most probability, if she will run in 2025, it probably will be in Naga. But you know, it's open naman. We're still trying to talk to her, whether it's Laila or our President, Edsel Lagman, na taga Bicol rin. So, mas maganda na yung mga Bicolans ang mag-usap. So, sila yung aming inatasan na kausapin si Ma'am Leni.
Kayo po.
Well, part of the strategic goal of LP in 2025 is to have a party list. So, yes, that's allowed by law, no, by the jurisprudence, no, as passed by the Supreme Court, that political parties can have party list organizations or representation for as long as it's composed or it consists of their sectoral formation. So baka yun yung aming pinaprioritize rin for 2025, and I might run as party list representative. Even Senator Laila could be considered, no, as a party list representative. So medyo fluid pa rin, but definitely that's going to be a major strategic goal for us, no, to win a party list seat in the House of Representatives. No?
All right. In April of last year, LP President Edsel Lagman, no, guested on One News's The Chiefs with our bosses po here in the newsroom. And he said that for sure The LP is already preparing, so that was as early as last year. But they're not looking to fill up the slate. Sinabi niya noong time na yon, no, na 6 to 7 candidates lang para ma-focus yung resources ng LP. A lot of people have been actually asking, begging on social media, ano nga ba ang plano ng opposition for 2025 and beyond? It has not been a good last 3 elections for the LP. What are you guys planning to do differently this time around?
So una, dapat ang strategic goal namin is 2028. So everything that you do from now until 2025 is geared towards 2028. And doon sa amin strategic objective is we need to win the presidency or support someone who will win the presidency in 2028. No? So yun siguro ang kinakailangan rin igiit na ang opposition is not just the Liberal Party. It's possible for us to support candidates who belong to other parties. In fact, yung 3 names na nabanggit kanina, technically si Kiko lang ang Liberal Party member doon. So si Attorney Chell and si Sen Bam belong to another political party. And it's possible, pinag-uusapan rin na it could be a coalition of other political organizations or non-administration or non-administration aligned politicians who could be our bets in 2025. But definitely, ito ay in preparation for 2028. I mean, ako personally, for whether it's Senator Riza, who's graduating also in 2028, or even looking at other political names, I'm open, at least personally, as a liberal, I'm open to working with other political parties for 2025 and 2028.
But you already did that in 2019. You did form coalitions with other parties to complete the opposition slate. Unfortunately, no offense, pero it did not seem to work out. Are you planning to do things a little bit differently still from 2019? Who are you eyeing if you're allowed to disclose?
Wala pa talagang serious talks. But among the base, we're talking about talking with Senator Ping Lacson or Tito Soto or Manny Pacquiao, even with the progressives, whether Luke Espiritu might want to have another try in the Senate or even Makabayan, but it has tama si Laila, it has to begin earlier. That's the strategic mistake we did in 2019 and in 2022. Late palagi nagde-decide. That's why sa akin, for now, we're focused on the 3 because as early as after the elections in 2022, sinabi naman na ni Senator Kiko that he's planning to run again for the Senate. So his machinery, our machinery has already been geared towards electing him to the Senate in 2025. Ganon na rin si Chell. Off late lang si Bam. So at least ngayon, just focus on the 3 and then perhaps whoever are the names that have adequately prepared themselves for 2025, we can always coalesce with them. Ang importante lang naman is pag-usapan ko ano yung magiging basis of unity. But it may not necessarily be and I might be criticized because of what I'm saying right now, but it may not necessarily be a pure kakamping coalition. But yun, kailangan pag-usapan Kailangan pag-usapan. We have to be practical these days. But definitely there has to be a basis of unity na everybody agrees on this.
Nako, Governor, I don't think you can run on the platform of unity. Somebody already took it. Somebody took it already. I don't think you can...
Yeah. But yun but my point is, pag-usapan kung ano ba yung pinaka-issue na pwede nyong bitbitin, whether it's only the 3 of us because more or less we agree on this, or if we're willing to talk to other people, basta malinaw kung ano yung hindi lang yung dahil nag-coalesce ka dahil it's more convenient for us to have a bigger group. But yun nga, nabanggit naman ni Ed Salagman, we've talked about this, maybe even smaller than 7 or 6, but if right now kasi, based on yung mga discussions, 3 yung sigurado And we build on that. And if ever man meron pang mga sigurado na rin na nagsimula na, they've adequately prepared and meron namang basis of unity doon, na malinaw, na hindi kontra sa pinaglalaban din ng Liberal Party at saka ibang progressive forces, then we can always coalesce.
Governor Baguilat, in case former Vice President Robredo declines to run again, I mean, I know you said she's considering running in Naga, pero again, let's just explore all options here. In case she declines to run in 2025, what's the backup plan
For her,
for the party?
well, we will still ask her to help out in the campaign, either as the national chairperson of the campaign or in whatever capacity. But definitely, we would like her to have a high-profile role in the campaign kung sakasakaling hindi siya tumakbo sa candidate. No? Otherwise, we'll work with Sen Kiko, Sen Bam, and Shell. I think that's already a strong big three. And then we'll see kung sino pa ang pwedeng masama doon. No? Tulad ng sabi ko kanina, we hope Laila will tell her story and gain more traction because a Senate naman, whether we like it or not, it's a popularity contest. And if you don't trend well in the surveys, then even those who have good intentions, who are the best candidates, hindi sila nagtutuloy. No? I've heard this from other progressives na sana sila yung gusto kong tumakbo pero sabi nila it's really a popularity contest and it requires a lot of resources.
Speaking of popularity, Governor, I'm just curious, have you started working on TikTok? I mean, we've seen in the past elections how instrumental that social media platform is. Nakikita rin po natin yan sa Indonesia. Yun nga po si Prabowo ay mukhang poised to win the presidency. That has worked also here in the Philippines with President Marcos, of course, using that very well. Is that part of the strategy that you're talking about in the Liberal Party? Is that even part of the discourse at also rebranding the Liberal Party, getting in touch with the common Filipino?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the learning insights that we've gained since 2000. Even in 2016, we lost the Facebook discourse because 2016 was really Facebook. 2022, pumasok siya ng TikTok. No? We're now trying to capacitate our principals to be better when it comes to their social media handling. In fact, si Laila, recently nagkaroon kami ng meeting and then I was telling her, you can talk about your cats or the life that you experience in prison. I think that's something that could be edited into shorter reels that we can put into TikTok. That could be interesting for Filipinos. How are you able to survive without social media in prison? Mga ganun ba? But yun nga, it takes kasi for the politicians, it takes certain sacrifice or the loss of your privacy. So sabi ni Laila, subukan pa daw niya. No? But definitely, of course, guys like Ed Selagman, na medyo challenge sa social media, mahirap. But now he has a Twitter.
Yes.
Twitter is...
Baby steps. Wala nang
It's no
Twitter.
longer Twitter, sir.
Yung mga sikat, hindi ko sure kung yung mga sikat sa X
X
na
na.
Parang mas TikTok eh.
Oo nga eh.
Oh,
Parang
pero Kong
X
Teddy-
is kind of out.
Right. Kong Teddy, speaking of learnings from the past, what other things are you not going to do? Kumbaga, hindsight is 2020. Ano yung di nyo nauulitin as a party? What did you think were your missteps from the last elections and, the previous two before that?
Yung previous two naman was really not being able to anticipate yung disinformation campaign. I mean, 2016, we were the administration party. We had so much for us, going for us as administration ng time ni Mar. But yun nga, we lost the Facebook discourse. And given now that 94% of the Filipinos are into Facebook, and it's even increasing. Ang next after Facebook kasi would be YouTube. And then around half of the population are into TikTok. So yun yung mga pinag-aaralan namin. I think that's one thing that we've learned now, na pagdating talaga sa social media, napakahalaga that you have a strong social media team. But yun nga, ang advantage lang kasi ng iba is they have the resources also. But That's something that we need to build at least yung army of your digital warriors, your volunteers. And pangalawa, yung talagang late mag-decide. Sorry, but yun ang analysis ko in 2019 and in 2022 in terms of kulang sa resources, hindi maganda yung messaging, dapat pinalitan. But the thing is, late nagsimula eh.
Ano pong
therefore,
dapat baguhin sa messaging?
Mas more in-depth study as to what connects to the majority, no? Kasi like for instance, maganda yung gobyernong tapat aangat ang buhay ng lahat, di ba? Yes, so dapat ganun talaga. But it didn't resonate as well as unity. Napakasimple. Napakasimple nung unity, no? Compared to yung sa gobyernong tapat aangat ng buhay ng lahat. And during the campaign, sinasabi na, we can try to tweak the message. Pero the campaign was already ongoing. Linabas mo na yung message na yon, gobyernong tapat. So, you live and die with that. No? But kung mas maaga sana, nagkaroon talaga siguro ng mas mga, kasi pag kinag-uusapan niya, mga technical staff, mga studies, ganyan, round table discussions with select people in terms of use of discovering your branding, then siguro mas madali na nakapagsagawa ka ng isang comms campaign na ayos na from the very start. It's just a matter of getting the resources to fund it. No?
Okay,
But
so
right now kasi we have more or less the capacity in terms of coming out with content, no? And being able to distribute that content sa social media when it comes to our political messages.
So,
Pero
Kung
siguro
Teddy,
ngayon,
are you on
Yes,
it? Are you saying that you're actually focusing more now on social media? Have you guys hired like
Yeah.
professionals, consultants, third party?
Kasi yung unity, parang, alam ko may nag-advise
mga fino-focus group pa yan di ba? Is this...
Yeah.
But again, somebody already
Focus
took
group
Unity platform, right?
Kaya nga mahirap maghanap ng katapat ng unity.
Yeah.
meron kami, for instance, quick poll capacity. No? That's why, more or less, alam namin na even in the last campaign, no, yung mga surveys na lumalabas, validated naman siya ng aming sariling quick poll. So at least that's one capacity that we have right now with the Liberal Party. We do quick polling, whether it's local or national, na-develop na namin yung capacity na. In fact, yung results in the last election, mas malapit pa kami, yung aming quick poll, compared to SWS. No? So that's something that we can build upon, at least in trying to get
Social listening, yes.
the sense of what people feel. No? So that's one. Second, part of our campaign talaga is also to develop the social media teams of our politicians, whether the senators or the local officials that we have right now, the incumbents. No? So yun nga, going back to EDSA, talagang sinasabi namin, kinakailangan i-train namin yung staff niya na binivideo ka habang nagkakaroon ka ng privilege speech, and then maybe to see what are the reels that we can put on social media. Although, syempre, ang sinasabi ng iba, si Sir kasi ang lalim ng pag-i-English. Yun naman ang challenge rin. Those things. But we have the capacity right now, and I think we just need to make sure that this is for the long term. Hindi yung biglaan lang.
It is a different game.
It's iba ng kalakaran ngayon.
Yeah. I'm into TikTok. I'm into everything, YouTube, everything. Every day, I see whether my following has increased. Ganyan. I look into... Ganon eh. Chell is doing well in his TikTok because of his legal advice. Meron siyang balak na later on TikTok on his Tai Chi. Kasi Tai Chi master rin pala si Chell. So mga ganon. No? I think that's something that
Basta
we need
walang
to accept.
plataforma, no? Hindi masyadong seryoso ang content.
Yun. There has to be a balance because yun ang debate eh. Like for instance, si Ma'am Lenny, when we analyze kasi yung social media, kakamping word ngayon is really number one si Lenny, but most of her posts are about, her travels, no? Mundane things, no? But syempre, mayroon pa rin nagsasabi na there are some issues that you cannot just be silent about. So palaging may internal debate as to whether you have to be... But I guess one ideal platform is yung kay Senator Riza because she does a lot of political statements in both her TikTok and in her other social media platforms. Pero marami rin siya na medyo pang Gen Z,
Lifestyle.
lifestyle, yeah. So there always has to be a balance.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, no, for being so candid with us tonight and for joining us, Liberal Party Secretary General and former Ifugao Governor and Congressman Teddy Baguilat.
In other news, groups from different sectors, including the Catholic Church, staged a protest earlier today against charter change. Protesters marched from Anda Circle in Tondo to Plaza Roma in Intramuros. Participants included labor groups and even representatives of different churches.
Patuloy tayong manindigan sa ating karapatan at wag po nating hayaang baguhin ang ating saligang batas ng ating mga mambabatas na walang tamang konsultasyon, walang tamang edukasyon at walang transparency sa kanilang mga balak at hangarin.
Argue that maayos naman daw yung konstitusyon at hindi na kailangan baguhin. Sabi nga ni Bishop Bagaforo, ang Pilipinas ang mayroong pinaka-liberalized economic policy sa buong Asia at kung ang gusto nilang palitan ay yung foreign ownership ng ating lupa ay palagay nila nakakatakot yun. The worry is that this will open doors to political provisions, specifically term limits. Let's listen into that.
Kapag binuksan mo ang konstitusyon, nako, wala na. Bukas yan. Ibig sabihin, any parts of the Constitution ay pwedeng pag-usapan at pwedeng tingnan muli at maaaring baguhin. Marami ang may pagdududa kasi walang transparency. Ano ba talaga ang hangarin nila? Malalim pa siguro kaysa economic provisions.
Now, there was also a senator who was present at that protest, and Mon Gualvez joins us tonight to tell us who that is. Mon, tell us.
That's right, Regina. Senator Risa Ontiveros was also on that rally, and she believes there are many issues in the country that needs to be prioritized, and none of this or these do not include the economic charter change.
Nagbabadya po talaga itong kadiliman ng Peking People's Initiative at saka charter change sa mga probisyon ng ating konstitusyon. Paulit-ulit na sinasabi ng ating mga kababayan kung ano talaga ang kailangang tutukan at bigyan ng solusyon. Yung gutom, yung kahirapan, yung kawalan ng disenteng pamumuhay.
Ontiveros also voiced her dismay against reports that the Senate is rushing the passage of resolution of both houses number 6, which seeks to amend the Constitution. 18 out of 24 senators must vote yes to this resolution for it to be passed.
Tingin ko yung una nilang sinabing meron na silang 18 votes para aprubahan yan sa Senado. Duda ko na accurate yon at mas accurate sabihin na may fighting chance tayong makabuo ng 7 namin. Kasama si Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel na boboto ng no sa RBH 6.
Now, aside from charter change, the rallies also called on the Commission on Elections to deem invalid the signature forms submitted for the People's Initiative. This despite the COMELEC already suspending proceedings concerning the controversial PI. The protesters say those pushing for the People's Initiative are taking advantage of many Filipinos.
Kung pabor sila, of course, we always respect yung freedom ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya lang, dapat, para makapagpili ng totoo ang ating mga kababayan, tamang edukasyon, tamang impormasyon, at saka transparent kung ano talaga ang malalim na hangarin ng ating mga ibang nasa kapangyarihan.
Reg, the rallies note that these protest actions are just a peek of what they have in store for the 20th or 28th anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution on the 25th of September, or of February rather. Reg?
Thanks so much for that update, Mon Gualvez.
Up next, goodbye Smartmatic, hello Miru Systems. COMELEC officially awards next year's election to the South Korean firm. Let's get more details on that when we return. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching a big story here on One News. South Korean firm Miru will be the Philippines election service provider for the 2025 midterm polls. The COMELEC en banc approved the recommendation of its Special Bids and Awards Committee to grant the joint venture led by Miru the nearly 18 billion peso contract for the full automation of the 2025 national and local elections. Miru is a lone bidder for the contract and will be replacing Smartmatic as the country's election provider. Now, under the contract, Miru has to provide 110,000 new automated counting machines, more than 100,000 ballot boxes, and some 2,000 plus consolidation and canvassing system units. Miru will also need to provide ballot papers for over 73 million voters, as well as ballot verification services. COMELEC said it was able to save some 800 million pesos thanks to Miru's offer, but they will still keep a close watch on the new election provider to make sure they deliver.
Madami po kasi dyan kung ano yung pinakita sa demo, maayos. Pero nung dinideliver na iba. So gusto naman natin kung ano nakita natin sa demo na maayos at pagkatapos mga konting adjustment na dapat nilang i-adjust o ayusin, ay makikita natin.
Now, for its part, Miru Systems thanked the COMELEC for awarding them the contract. The company said, "We are committed to further improving the quality of our machines and manufacturing processes."
Meanwhile, authorities are still putting out forest fires that hit several areas of Benguet and the Mountain Province. The flames, which were fanned by strong winds, also affected nearby residential areas. Brian Basa reports. And the Bureau of Fire Protection says that the blaze started along the eastern part of Mount Santo Tomas yesterday morning. The fire has reached the transmitter towers of TV stations on the mountain, which are around 5 kilometers away from Tabaan Sur. Firefighters struggled to suppress the flames due to strong winds and congested pathways. Meanwhile, still in the town of Tuba near Cannon Road, another fire hit the area and has damaged some 5 hectares of forest. Residents in the area are on alert as the fire is creeping its way to several homes. 4 residents have been brought to the hospital for smoke inhalation. Firefighters have been dumping fire suppressors to contain the flames.
We're gonna pause for a quick one, but right after that, Uno Digital Bank has locked in $32.1 million for expansion. We'll speak to Uno CEO Manish Bhai right after this break. Stay with
back here and still watching the big story here on One News.
In corporate news, Uno Asia, the parent company of Uno Digital Bank, announced this week that it has secured $32.1 million in a pre-Series B funding round. The fundraise, which will be a mix of debt and equity, was participated in by Gateway Partners, Creator, Private Equity, and Next Infinity Management. The startup says the money will help their efforts to expand and drive financial inclusion in the Philippines. Uno was launched in the Philippines just 15 months ago as a purely digital bank and says it now has 1 million customers. The company also says it's prioritizing profitability this year. To talk more about this latest funding, we have with us in the studio Manish Bhai. He's the CEO of Uno Digital Bank, as well as one of the company's founders.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here today. And I'm glad that Uno Digital Bank made it to the big story today.
So are
Well,
we.
congratulations on your fundraise.
Thank you.
Before we get into the details of that, talk us through what Uno Digital Bank is. The parent company, as I understand, is headquartered in Singapore.
That's right.
But you chose to zero in on the Philippines to start a digital bank. Talk us through the genesis. Why is that?
Absolutely. So, Uno Digital Bank is one of the 6 digital banks that was licensed by BSP in 2021. And Uno Digital Bank is an initiative of Uno Asia, which is a Singapore-based fintech, which was co-founded by 2 people with 50 years of experience in banking. One being my co-founder, Kalidas Ghosh, and second, yours truly sitting in front of you. So the reason of choosing Philippines was because of the macro backdrop, which was very, very favorable, and a very supportive regulator. If you recall, Philippines probably was the first mover after Singapore to allot a digital banking license. So Uno is focused today on a strategy of providing a full spectrum credit-led digital bank, quite a mouthful, but what it means basically is one trusted platform to meet all your life's financial needs. Basically save, borrow, transact, protect, and invest in an easy and secure manner.
Right, you mentioned you were one of the 6 that was granted a license by the BSP
That's
as a
right.
digital bank in 2021. It's now 2024. First off, do you still feel the same way that the Philippines was indeed the perfect choice to launch your product? Are you willing to stay for the long haul? And second, how has the Philippine experience been for you guys?
To your first question first, absolutely. The fact that we have kind of made a global record for a standalone, like professionals founded digital bank with 1 million customers and upwards of 5 billion in deposits within 15 months endorses the huge potential of the market. And the secondly, you mentioned about the investments earlier. People continue to support and put new money in Philippines. $32 million is a significant amount of money which is being put into the country. So people are very, very bullish about the opportunities in Philippines, as well as the opportunity to kind of financially include. We stay absolutely committed and very bullish about the environment. We think we are going to double our customer base this year and launch a few more products than what we have today.
So you've hit your targets so far.
So far, so good, but there's lots more to do.
You said that you all have 1 million customers already.
That's right.
Which market do they belong to? Because I have seen in your press releases that you're focused on the mass market, the unbanked, underbanked Filipino. Are most of those customers part of that segment in our population?
Yeah, absolutely. Our focus is both on unbanked and underbanked. And that's still today, whichever estimates you take, around 45–50% of the people, adult population, still fall into that category. And that's our primary focus, which we are not excluding anyone. It doesn't mean that we don't have customers who have accounts with larger banks.
But how have you educated the Filipinos? Let's talk through some numbers. 53% of adults have a deposit account here in the Philippines.
Actually, we have that graphic. If we could just flash that. According to the BSP's latest data, last year, 2022, not last year, 65% had bank
Deposit
accounts,
account.
right? Which was a big jump from just 3 years ago in 2019, and their target is 2023 for this year. It's in blue because we don't have the numbers yet. But in any case, they're as you pointed out, they're ramping up efforts. It's a very supportive regulatory environment. They're ramping up efforts for financial inclusion. Anyways,
But those who loan, half of those who loan rather, loan from formal services, but and half from informal. How do you get Filipinos to trust your platform to get banked?
So it's a long, engaging process. It, of course, starts with education, which you kind of touched upon earlier, as to the benefits of taking a loan from a formal sector, which comes from multiple benefits. To the first, that it's faster, quicker, and it has a lower overall rate. And it's a full process of building the trust. As we were looking at the numbers some time back, if you look at 4 years back, the penetration of people who were banked was just 30%, and that number is now hovering around 70. So people over the last 3 or 4 years have become comfortable with digital adoption. What has also helped is the Philippines is the global leader when it comes to social media
Being on our
awareness.
mobile phones.
Again, there was a new survey which came out last week, and again it topped by being 9 hours average Filipino spending on social media. So it has been a easy transition. What also helped was the wallet companies over the last 2 or 3 years, and post-COVID, that was an entry point for many of the players into kind of into digitalization. And I'll use this segue to specifically talk about one of our partnership and how it is linked with wallet. So I don't know if I'm assuming all of you have a GCash account.
Of course.
And if you go into a GCash account, within a tap of a button, you can open a Uno digital bank account. If you have not tried it, try it tonight.
So you've partnered with them.
That's right.
Having
as
said
well.
that, to add to what Gretchen said, you have no plans of opening your own e-wallet. You're sticking to the whole digital bank
That's
format.
right, because our strategy is providing a full spectrum service which is save, borrow, transact, protect, and invest, which as a full-fledged banking license, we believe we are better placed to
But
provide.
what differentiates you from the other
Digital
banks?
banks.
Yeah, I've tried playing with one brand. Of course, higher rates, but $32 million is huge funding. What do you think is the reason why these investors have pledged into Uno Digital Bank?
One can play an inclusion story from various different angles. We are very, very focused on playing the inclusion story primarily from lending. Of course, deposit base is important, but Philippines really lags the region and globally when it comes to formal sector credit penetration. Consumer credit to GDP penetration is high single digits versus very high double digits.
in short, people borrow from friends and family as opposed to going to
Exactly.
banks.
And our strategy, though it is full spectrum, but it is credit-led full spectrum. And that's why globally there are not many banks which launch lending within the first year of operations. And we were able to launch our savings, deposit, transactions, and lending within the first year. And we have huge plans. We have one product which is Uno Now, which is a quick cash loan. We have expanded to products for MSME. We are coming out with new products for consumer durable market. And we can have further plans which are a bit under wraps for the rest of the year. So I think that's the biggest differentiation which people see versus many others, not only in Philippines, but globally, as to how we are approaching the business.
So you're mostly into being a creditor and
No,
giving loans.
being a full-fledged bank,
Yeah.
but credit inclusion is a huge focus of our strategy.
People always ask, though, is it safe to invest in digital banks, right? There's a misconception that they could one day just shut down and they lose all their money. What do you have to say to that? I mean, it's something that a lot of people often ask us.
As I said, it is a process, and if you see collectively, I don't have the latest number, but collectively between the 6 digital banks, I think there are 8 million, 9 million accounts by now, and many first-time bankers. So over the years, people are building that trust, and it's a two-way process. Now, people have seen digital banks been there for 2 years, and they're getting more confidence. That is one. Secondly, the point I would say that today technology is so prevalent everywhere that the risk is not only with digital bank. If you look at Philippines in the last 12 or 18 months, some of the larger issues which we have seen, which has happened, touchwood, has not been around the digital banks. It's been on some traditional players, in players who have been there for 15, 20, 25 years. And I think people are seeing that and getting used to it. But as I said, it's always difficult when you don't have a face in front.
Right.
But
You don't have a brick and mortar.
Constant engagement, being in front.
Yeah, you also mentioned hand-holding, still having that human touch. How are you
Yeah.
planning to do that?
From day one, we were very clear in our strategy that we will have a call center, not only a chat. Many digital banks globally and probably here also just go for chatbot. So we have
I
one
totally
phone
understand.
line.
Needing to talk to a human
They
being.
need to talk. That gives a lot of comfort because
It does.
see, when we were looking at it, when we were strategizing, we said, hey, you go to a new country, you set up a bank, people will be very worried about like where is Uno Digital Bank?
Who is
who
Uno
are the
Digital
people
Bank?
behind it?
Yeah.
What if I have an issue? So as a strategy, we had a full-fledged call center, again, 24/7. Anytime you need to speak to someone, pick a phone. There is a voice. It's not AI. We're using AI, but this is we have human touch out there. So this is the way you get into this process of building trust.
Manish, I just want to get back to something that Gretchen mentioned earlier. It has something to do with like your customer profile. You did roll out a number of personal loan products.
That's right.
Specifically targeting certain sectors. One of them is salaried professionals. You have one for small business owners or MSME owners. I want to know, like, can you give us a broad picture? Out of your 1 million customers, how many of that 1 million were new converts, meaning they were previously unbanked and then they were first-timers to sign up for a digital bank?
See, this is a number I keep getting asked a lot of time. Not only me, my fellow digital bankers also keep getting asked. Unless you make the onboarding process very onerous, it's difficult to have a very scientific answer to that unless you ask the people, is this your first bank account? But our guesstimates is looking at those numbers, and when we look at our profile, at Uno, we think because of this ease of converting into a bank account from GCash, we think 30 to 35% of our base is first-time bankers, and the rest are underbanked.
Wow.
What did you study in the Philippine culture that connects to this? Because I kind of noticed also there's a culture of borrowing. I mean, what have you studied on that end? And also the guardrails that you put in terms of being able to determine safety, security, as well as the amounts that you actually lend.
Yeah, so our credit lending is not like open-ended. There's a very, very restrictive policy. There are debt burden ratios. We look at the income profile. It's not that anyone can come and take a loan which they are not able to service, because as a country, as an economy, even though credit formal sector penetration is low, but informal sector penetration is very high, which you mentioned out there. So those guardrails are very, very important. So even on our test program, we started very small, started lending not huge amounts of money. In fact, we often get some complaints from customers that we have good credit. My last bank, I borrowed such a high amount. Why are you giving me such a small amount? But it is important to run these test programs, kind of feel the market, see what are the pain points, and then go and kind of escalate. Building a credit business is always a more challenging process, and that's why fewer people are focused on that, because it's not about lending, just giving out the money. It's about making sure it's the right
The
credit.
collections is the hardest part of that.
Yeah, it's making sure you are lending right, you're lending to the right people, you're not over leveraged.
If I were an
leveraging.
MSME, what is the maximum amount I can borrow?
Today, the maximum which we are lending to an MSME is 200,000 pesos, $4,000, so slightly less than
And what
that.
would be the interest rate like on that and the payback plan?
Interest rate is between 1.8 to 2% monthly add-on. And payback is loans up to 36 months, from 12 months to 36 months.
Right.
Manish, I know some people that are younger than me who are still cagey about anything online. Like they do have physical bank accounts, they won't even download the online app of that bank. that they are so scared, hackers, etc. And then there are a lot of these third-party lending apps, just pure lending apps that they do like bizarre things like download your contacts, call your friends, your boss, your colleagues.
The illegal ones.
Blackmail
Yes,
you.
yeah, illegal ones.
Have you gotten, affected by this kind of these scams and people not knowing enough, not being educated enough, and saying, oh, they're all going to do that, or there's that risk?
That's two things are always there. For the next few years, there will always be non-believers or people who don't trust. And again, as I said, that's the engagement process. As they see, when they see around them that more and more people are getting comfortable, they get comfortable. That is out there. And on your second point, till the time technology stays out there, there will always be the scammers. So the real game is how do you stay one step ahead of them. That's what we try to do
Is
every
safety
time.
a point of competition? Like, is there a safer app? You're the safer digital
safer
bank.
digital bank.
Is that also, something?
I think so, absolutely. Because, again, to make a bank safe, it comes with investments, and then it reflects on the strategy of the bank. I can't talk about others, but for us, there is continuous investment in technology.
Right.
The challenge out there is you always have to balance between convenience and safety.
You're right.
Right? I can put huge amount of controls, but then the convenience is lost, and that's where the smart strategy comes. Like, I can put a program in that if you use 2 transactions within 10 minutes, your account will get locked. But I'm compromising on convenience. So that's the balance. So we have a very dedicated team. There's an innovation center. They're always looking at that, looking at the technology. Today we have real-time alerts. We have systems which are monitoring pings. Which if your card has a multiple use, it gets blocked. Right. One of the unique strategies which we have done is we have something called device binding. So it's a bit of compromise on convenience, but like your account can only work on one device. But this one small step gives you a huge protection.
Sorry, Manish, to cut you off there, but we've run out of time. But just very, very quickly, you're still confident about hitting profitability this year?
That's a huge focus for us. It's our #1 KPI to go for break even this year.
Okay, so eyes laser focused on it. We're going to have to leave that there for now. Thanks so much for being with us in the studio. Manish Bhai, CEO of Uno Digital Bank and co-founder of Uno Asia.
Thank you once again. Thank you for having me.
All right, on that note, that's it for the show on this Thursday night.
You're One News, all sides, all the time.
It's Thursday already?
It is, and the Gilas game is on.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.